What's going on? I'm White at hoopstalk.net, and today we got a couple predictions for y'all. So we're gonna have a little bit of a prediction series. We don't know what prediction we're gonna have out on the website yet, but today's prediction is going to be a way too early NBA awards for the 2026 season. So the 2025-2026 season is the awards that we're gonna be going out for. And this is just way too early because we still have a lot of free agents out there. Like Josh Giddey, Tobias Harris, those guys still haven't signed anywhere. So we're still waiting on seeing who's going to do what. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So we're going to start out with the lesser known awards. And to start out with, we're going to have Clutch Player of the Year. And my three candidates are De'Aaron Fox, LeBron James, and Trae Young. If Tyrese Halliburton was on this list, you bet he would be here. But here's the three I got. So let's start out with De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox just got traded from the Sacramento Kings to the San Antonio Spurs for a package that looked great for San Antonio. And honestly, in those couple games that he ended up playing for San Antonio, he played well. He had a couple clutch shots already for him. A couple mid-range off the dribble. I think he hit a 3 off the dribble. He's looking great. And I think in this long stretch, I don't think they're going to give the ball to Wemby. I think De'Aaron Fox is going to see those touches. And I mean, he's always been one of those clutch players for the last couple of years, and his jump shots improved very much. And I think, yeah, he may not be an all-star this year, or he may not be this, and he may not be that. He may not be to the level of those other guards in the league, especially in that Western Conference. But he's definitely going to get you a bucket in the last 5 seconds of the game. So that's my case for De'Aaron Fox. Now we're talking about LeBron. LeBron's going to be snuck in there somewhere. I'm sorry, every year he's snuck in for an award somewhere. You know, whether that's the All-NBA teams, whether that's an All-Star captain, whether that's he's in there for the MVP somewhere. Somewhere in there, LeBron is going to be mentioned just because he's LeBron James. And that's not going to disrespect LeBron. His longevity is amazing. And he still is one of the clutchest players in the league, despite people saying he's not very clutch for his career. But I beg to differ because he has so many playoff moments that it's just hard to say he's not clutch. But I think they'll sneak LeBron in there as Clutch Player of the Year candidate. And that kind of just tells you that I don't think he's going to win. For Trae Young's known to be one of the clutcher players in the league already. I mean, he hits those floaters late in the game. He can hit a deep 3 in your face late in the game. You know, and this new Atlanta Hawks team is looking pretty good. I mean, they got Dyson Daniels. They got Jalen Johnson. They just traded for Kristaps Porzingis. They look pretty good on paper. If they stay healthy, there should be a pretty decent team. And that'll definitely help Trae Young in this case. And I think Trae Young is going to undoubtedly be the one to win this award. So I do have Trae Young as my winner for this award. And that's just, I think he's been one of the clutchest players in the league lately. And I think he's kind of underlooked because he's not an all-star. Although he should be. He's not on one of those greatest teams. And Atlanta hasn't been good since 2021 where he went on that run to the conference finals. So We'll see about that award. That award to me is the hardest to predict because you don't know what moments are going to happen. Like, no one predicted Tyrese Halliburton hitting 5-game winners in one playoff stretch. Darius Garland was one of the clutcher players in the league last year. Who would have guessed that? I mean, no disrespect to Darius Garland, but there's so many other superstars that it's hard to predict that. So. You also have other clutch players that I thought about for this, Shea, obviously, but I was thinking more like Devin Booker. I wanted to put Jalen Brunson in here. Obviously, whoever I was just talking about, I can't think of off the name, but those are some guys that definitely should get some looked at, but I have Trae Young winning this award in 2026. For my most improved player, these are also harder to predict a little bit. I have Paolo Banchero, Amen Thompson, and Benedict Mathurin. I want to start off with Mathurin a little bit because I want to talk about the Indiana Pacers. They just came off that finals series. They're not going to have Tyrese Halliburton next year. They have some guards to fill in, and Mathurin's going to probably be the one most likely to step into that into that empty spot with Tyrese was. And you're going to have Nembhard at your point guard, probably Mathurin at the 2, Nesmith, Siakam, and then most likely Isaiah Jackson or Jay Huff, who they just traded for from Memphis. Mathurin, he's going to have a lot of opportunity because Nembhard, I mean, he's a scorer. He could pick up on some opportunity, but Mathurin is that guy. I mean, he can take you off the dribble. He can shoot a 3 in your face. I mean, he can lock you up on D. I mean, he's got a lot of potential to be something great. They're going to have Siakam obviously score, but like that, I mean, Nesmith's not going to be the one to pick up on that. Obi Toppin's probably not going to be the one to pick up on that scoring. It's going to have to be Mathurin. And I think Mathurin can play at an all-star level if he gets to that consistent basis. I mean, heck, he averaged 16 last year off the bench. You know, at one point he was averaging 19 or 20, you know, halfway through the year. So if Mathurin can learn to be consistent with a bigger role, he could definitely win that Most Improved Player award. As far as Paolo Banchero, I put him in there because you always got like the Cade Cunningham. You got the guys who got picked first overall, who takes a big leap their third year and gets in contention for Most Improved. I think Luka Doncic was even on there his third year as a candidate. And it's just, that's not the way they should do it, but that's the way it usually goes. And I think Banchero, you're going to see take that next step. And he's going to be a top 12 player in the league next year. I think he came off an injury last year. He looked good, but he can look even better. And I think that Orlando's going to even look at it even better because, yeah, they gave a big haul for Desmond Bane, but that's going to help him next year. So you got Desmond Bane there. You're going to have Jalen Suggs back. You're going to have Franz Wagner, hopefully, for the whole year. You're going to have Wendell Carter, hopefully, for a majority of the year, who struggled a little bit this year. And Goga Bitadze took some of his minutes. But I think this Orlando team's looking pretty good. They lost Gary Harris, but that's okay. They got guys. They ended up signing somebody else, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go ahead. Off the top of my head, I can't think of who they signed. Let's go ahead and look here. Oh, wrong click. Oh, they got Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva. They're pretty deep. I mean, those are younger guys as well. So hopefully, you know, those are players that, you know, take that next step and do something. Oh, Tyus Jones. Yeah, they got Tyus Jones off their bench now. They got Jace Richardson in the draft. Yep, I don't know why I had to look at that. They re-signed Mo Wagner. They got a lot of guys. I think they got depth now. They got Jonathan Isaac still, who's good to come off the bench for a little bit. Can play center a little bit if you need him to, even though they're not going to, because they still have Bitadze and Carter and Mo Wagner. So, you know, Orlando, if they can stay healthy, I think they'll be a top 3 seed. I think they have the potential to be. So, and they're young. They're kind of like the OKC of the Eastern Conference, where they got a lot of young guys. The problem is they're missing all those picks because they just traded Desmond Bane for them. But we'll see. And then finally, I got Houston Rockets and Amen Thompson in there. You know, with Kevin Durant, that might haul Amen Thompson back, but I think you're going to see a lot more scoring from Amen Thompson this year. Last year, you kind of seen him get into his own midway through the year, where he was just one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and if not the best. He will lock your guy down, but he's really good at that back cut. And that back cut's something that Houston took advantage of because they had a guy like Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun who could get in that post and find you. With Kevin Durant, their offense might look a little different, but I think Amen Thompson, you're going to see take people more off the dribble. Hopefully you see a little bit of improvement even in his jump shot, because that's going to be really needed for them next year. So hopefully you see that for Amen Thompson, and hopefully, you know, Asar Thompson also is on this list. You can't really say he was most improved because he kind of just missed most of the year last year, and it's hard to say someone's most improved when you didn't really get to see him a whole lot last year. But I think Amen Thompson could be in the conversation for this, despite Kevin Durant might be holding him back with minutes. But as my winner here, I have Paolo Banchero. Just because I think you'll see one of those Cade Cunningham years, and I think the NBA will give it to him. I think the media will give it to him. But I'd watch out for Mathurin, man. I think he could sneak up on him. Next, let's do 6th man of the year. I want to give a quick shout out to Trey Mann, though. I think he has a lot of potential to be on this list, but I don't think Charlotte's going to be good enough for him to win the award. For my 6 man of the years, I have Jordan Clarkson, Naz Reid, and Peyton Pritchard. And for my winner, I have Peyton Pritchard going back to back. Yep. I didn't even elaborate on those guys, but I think Peyton Pritchard, you know, they have Anthony Simons now. They still got Derek White. He's not gonna start, but I think they're gonna need scoring because Boston, they're without Jason Tatum. They traded Porzingis. Drew Holiday didn't really score for him, but you know, someone still has to pick up for what he did. And Pritchard already was scoring for him, and I think he's gonna have to take a larger role, especially since really all they're gonna have next year is Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Scoring wise, they will have Anthony Simons. That will help, but I think you might see them finish games with a 3-guard lineup. I think you could see Derek White at that 3. I think you could see like a lineup of like Pritchard. You don't know who's at that center yet, but you got Pritchard, White, Simons, Brown, and whoever that center is going to be. Whether it's Luka Garza, I think right now is what ESPN has as the depth chart as their starting center, which isn't great because he wasn't even in Minnesota's lineup. But Cornette leaving, Al Horford not re-signing, trading away Kristaps Porzingis kind of leaves a hole there. They could go small ball with George Niang, but we'll see what they do. But I think you will see a step up from Pritchard. He already had moments last year where you could see him. He's a big closer for him. He can score just as good as any other small white guard in the league. As far as Naz Reid is great. Honestly, a great shooter for a big man. He's a great scorer for a big man, but I think you already seen him win the award. You know, they like Gobert. I don't think he's gonna win the award, but he'll definitely be in the case for it. And then Jordan Clarkson going to New York is kind of a little different because they don't really have much of a bench. So I mean, you see that same starting 5 as you saw last year, and then off the bench, you know, they got Clarkson, they got Deuce McBride, but as far as scorers, they don't really have anybody. So I think Jordan Clarkson, you could see around 15 or 16 points a game next year and being in the candidate for it. I think it's cool that all these candidates have won the award before, or not won it, but have been in the conversation for it. So that makes it a little bit easier to predict. But you know, you could see a new guy, you could see a young guy step up and surprise everybody, and maybe not win the most improved player award because obviously he's not a starter, but you might see him win the whole thing. So we'll see there. As far as defensive player of the year, I once again have Amen Thompson on here as a candidate. We have Evan Mobley and Victor Wembanyama, and I think the consensus is Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he led the league in total blocks last year while missing everything after the trade deadline, or the All-Star game, sorry. Evan Mobley won the award last year. Amen Thompson, you're going to see a big leap from this year, and as far as all the guards in the league, he's the one that, if you even consider him a guard, but he is the one that could win the award. A lot of people say Dyson Daniels. Me personally, I think Dyson Daniels statistically, he's not doing that again. I think it would be fun to see Dyson Daniels do that again, and I think he's a great defender, don't get me wrong. He'll still be in an all-defensive team, but you're not going to see him average 3 steals a game again. Now, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Dyson. Go out there and average 4. That would be tough, but go out and do it. And lead Atlanta to a top 5 seed, because that's the reason Atlanta really isn't a big seed or a playoff team, because their defense sucks. So if Dyson Daniels could carry them, that'd be great and get back onto this candidate. But I think Amen Thompson's going to be the one to really make Houston a different level defensively, because you know they don't have that big shot blocking center other than Clint Capella, who they just got, but they're not going to play him big minutes. KD is not really a plus defender; he's quite average. Fred VanVleet's a little on the smaller side; he's getting a little slower. He's getting a little older. You know, they have Amen Thompson, they have Jabari Smith, Tari Easton's a good defender. But Amen Thompson's going to carry this Houston team, and they're going to be a good team defensively just because of him. Evan Mobley won the award last year. There's not really much to say after that. Once again, Cleveland's one of those best defensive teams that they might be the best defensive team in the Eastern Conference. But when you have a guy like Victor Wembanyama, it's hard to not make him win the award. I mean, he's going to win multiple. If he stays healthy, he will win every single time. There's no one beating this guy defensively. He's by far the best defender in the league at just shot blocking, and he can steal. He can do perimeter defense at 7'4". Isn't that crazy? He can move just as good as any other forward in the league. It's crazy to me defensively, but I have Victor Wembanyama winning this award. As far as Rookie of the Year, my 3 candidates are Dylan Harper, Cooper Flagg, and Trey Johnson of the Washington Wizards. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Trey Johnson. He's a pure scorer. That's kind of what he was at Texas. You know, he kind of just shoots the ball when he's open, and even when he's not, and he has confidence, he's going to let it stroke. And if he has that same confidence, which who knows, but in the summer league he has. So if he has that same confidence in a Washington Wizards jersey, you might see him be a candidate for this list. I mean, you could see him anywhere between 13 to 20 points a game. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. Defensively, he's not terrible. I wouldn't probably have him on the court if, you know, there's 10 seconds left and the other team has the ball. But if you need a bucket, I'd give it to him. I mean, it's kind of different because they have a guard like Bob Carrington, who came into the league last year. He played well to start out the year, but not really a scorer. And then once he started to finish the year, he became a scorer. Trey Johnson's going to do that right away for you. And he's going to progress as the season goes, as all rookies do. So Trey Johnson's in there as a candidate. But as far as Dylan Harper and Cooper Flagg, they're just going to have the best opportunity out of the rest of these guys outside of Ace Bailey. But Ace Bailey could be either a hit or a miss. Let's see if he even wants to play there. And if not, he could just be stuck in his head because he doesn't want to be there. So I didn't have Ace Bailey on this list, but honestly, as far as position-wise goes, if Ace Bailey works out for Utah, Bailey and Flagg would have the best opportunities, but Dylan Harper has also got a good opportunity. I mean, he has the opportunity to come off the bench for the San Antonio team, be their sixth man and their lead scorer off the bench. I mean, they got Kelton Johnson there too, but Johnson's a little bit inconsistent, and Harper, I mean, was one of the top scorers in college basketball last year and led Rutgers with Ace Bailey. I mean, he's a plus defender. He's athletic as crap. He's going to be something special, man, and I think he's going to be looked on. I mean, I think he could be anywhere from 12 to 15 points per game this year for San Antonio. It could be a little lower just depending on how much their coach Mitch Johnson wants to give him minutes. But I think Harper has the opportunity to do something special here in San Antonio. And then as for Cooper Flagg, I have him winning the award as any normal person should. He's gotten a lot of hate after that first Summer League game, but it kind of quieted him out once he scored 31 against San Antonio in his second game in the Summer League, and then they set him out the rest of the year. As far as that, I have seen people being like, he should have stayed at one more year at Duke, or he's just not ready. And to that, I say the last... I don't know how many Rookie of the Years have been one and dones or very young prospects out of overseas. Like, Wemby was the age of a one and done player. So, to me, like, Flagg is the most ready freshman out of college basketball. And you don't ever see those 4-year guys win Rookie of the Year, even though I think they should be drafted higher. Like, this year, it was Walter Clayton. He probably should have went a little higher, although he did end up going a little higher. But last year was Dalton Knecht, and there's a guy every year that should be drafted maybe a little higher because of their age. But Jaime Jaquez was another one. So Flagg is a pure playmaker. He's a pure defender. If he puts a little size on, he'll be tough defensively. Offensively, I mean, he's got everything. He can finish just as good as a guard can at the rim. I mean, he will take you up in the air. He may not dunk on you, but he may take you around and do a reverse. You know what I mean? He's not going to get blocked. He can find his teammates just as good as anybody. And honestly, him and Anthony Davis might be a good duo because he's very good at finding bigs. He made Malach at Duke look good, and he got drafted high because that was the situation he was in. He looked great. Now, Malach is also good defensively, and that also helped his case. But he also found Concanepo off stagger screens, and he was pretty much the focal point of their offense, as he should have been. And Duke ended up being a pretty good team. I mean, they went to the Final Four. They were a 1 seed, so we'll see. And finally, the award that everybody's been waiting for. And I don't think there's a shocker on here anywhere. The 3 candidates I have are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is the reigning MVP, Anthony Edwards, and Nikola Jokic, who people argued should have been MVP. And for my MVP, nah, not yet. We're going to talk about these guys. So Shai obviously won an MVP last year, won a finals MVP last year. He's going to end up scoring like 32 points a game. He's going to get his 7 assists, his 6 rebounds. I mean, he is a heck of a player. I mean, he is. He's going to lead OKC to the 1 seed again. But there's a real thing called voters fatigue. And I think it'll be hard for especially a guard to win back-to-back. We haven't seen that since Steph. And then before that, it was Nash. Like, Harden didn't even do that. Westbrook didn't do that. Since then, it hasn't really been a guard. But I don't think we'll see a Shai back-to-back just because of voters fatigue. And honestly, the way he plays, it's kind of hard to give him an MVP again because it's not like anything impressive. I mean, it's very impressive. Don't get me wrong. But, it's just like between the legs, mid-range. Or it's going to take you to the rim and get fouled. And it's kind of hard when 35% of your points are at the foul line. So, don't get me wrong, he's a top 5 player in the league. And heck, he could be top 3. And heck, he could be top 2 and not be 2. But I think voters fatigue will get to him. As far as Nikola Jokic goes, Nikola Jokic is getting a little older. And I think statistically he should be in this MVP race. We'll see how good Denver is next year. But if I have David Adelman as my coach of the year, I have them being a top 5 seed. Jokic is a heck of a player, man. His playmaking is impressive. It's out of this world, honestly, for a center. His rebounding gets underlooked, but it's one of the best in the league. And obviously his scoring, honestly, isn't on the par to these other 2 players that I mentioned. But you don't need to do that when you can be the focal point of your offense. Literally, Denver Nuggets' offense is Nikola Jokic. Like, OKC's offense is Shai. But it's also Chet. And it's also Jalen Williams. Like, Jalen Williams will drive to the rim and get a bucket. And no, this Denver Nuggets team, it's get Jokic the ball in the post or the top of the key and let him find you on a cut. Or let him give you a little handoff to Jamal Murray. Outside of Jamal Murray, their offense is purely Jokic. It might be a little different now with Cam Johnson there, but I assume they have them take on the same role as Michael Porter Jr. offensively. And then defensively, he's a bit of an upgrade, and offensively, he might pass the ball a little bit more. Aaron Gordon fits perfectly alongside him, and I just think Jokic is in the perfect situation there. Christian Brown, same situation as Aaron Gordon. He just fits perfectly with Jokic. And I think there's so many players in the league. And their depth got even better. They got Bruce Brown, who fits perfectly with Jokic. Tim Hardaway Jr., we'll see if Valanciunas is even on the roster, if he goes overseas. And we'll see how good he is with Jokic on the bench and see if they can even play together. But they might even get Russell Westbrook back. He hasn't signed yet. So if they can get him back, he also fit pretty good with Jokic offensively. So we'll see how that goes. And then finally, Anthony Edwards. And I think this might be one of the first years we see Anthony Edwards be in the conversation as the top 5 player in the league. And I think, they went to conference finals. back-to-back years, I think you could see Minnesota as a top 3 seed despite not changing much in their roster, and especially with them losing Kill Alexander Walker, who might be a loss for them, a negative loss, because, man, Alexander Walker did good for them in the playoffs off the bench. I mean, them being able to bring off Naz Reid, them bring in Kill Alexander Walker, that's huge for a team like that. But they got DiVincenzo now. They had DiVincenzo last year, and he was able to play. But I think you might see a little bit of a step up in Terrence Shannon. Or maybe Rob Dillingham's able to get some minutes now. You know what I mean? So they will have some guys to fill in for Alexander Walker. And as far as Anthony Edwards go, I mean, this might be the Anthony Edwards season. I mean, we have a lot of potential to see a 31, 32 point per game Anthony Edwards year. A year where he leads and he's just a top 5 player in the league. Man, this guy's amazing, man. He's going to shoot a 3 in your face. You know how good he is at 3s now? Like, if you actually haven't seen a Minnesota Timberwolves game last year, I recommend you watch their first game of the year. Because this kid is entertaining to watch. And you need to watch Minnesota Timberwolves games to actually realize how good he is. Like, he will dunk on you and then shoot a 3 in your face and drain it. And I know there's a lot of guys like that, but not to the extent of Anthony Edwards. Like, that is the prototypical guy to do that. And I think he's the MVP next year. I think you will see Anthony Edwards win the most valuable player next year if he stays healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, then I got Shea at 2. And that's a pretty safe bet too. But I think, like, you have those James Harden 1 years. You got those what's his name? Russell Westbrook. His 1 year. This is going to be Anthony Edwards 1 year. And I think maybe the next year you see Shea go back to it. Or you see a Wemby. Or you see Jokic win it one more time. But this is where I'm optimistic about Anthony Edwards. And he's year 2025, 2026 NBA MVP. Alright, thank you for watching. If you want to go see more predictions, go look at our website, hoopstalk.net, and check out our socials. Link will be in the description. And peace.